Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take on Schumer's position here. Now this is from WND, so it's a bit hyperbolic. Schumer backs Biden plan to let boys shower with girls. I agree with the decision. It's not really what it's about. What it's about is the Democrats are leveraging trans people for their own political gain. And what Barack Obama issued an executive order just before leaving office, forcing schools to receiving federal funding to let boys who identify as girls use girls' bathrooms and showers. President Trump immediately reversed the order, but now Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says he supports Biden's vow to restore Obama's order on his first day in office. Understand what this is. I don't think Barack Obama gives a damn about trans people. What he did was he laid a landmine for Trump. He passed the executive order before leaving office. He didn't do it. He was in office for 8 years. You think he didn't know about trans people for 8 years? You didn't think they knew about trans people in 2008? I guarantee you he knew about trans people in 2008 and dealt with all sorts of issues. It's just like what they do about gay marriage, right? Obama was like, marriage is between a man and a woman, but blah, blah, blah. He's such a hypocrite. He laid that as a trap for Trump. Now, Trump immediately reversed the order, which I think was probably the right thing to do in this case. Because when you're talking about schools, when you're talking about children, they don't really know what the hell they want. We don't let children do everything they want. We don't let children drive. We don't let them drink. We don't let them smoke cigarettes. There's lots of things children aren't allowed to do because society has judged, oh no, you're not old enough to make a decision in that area. You have to ask your parents or whatever. People are caught up in this woke nonsense. And they're desperate to find a marginalized group to champion so they could look so wonderful and righteous. And some people decide on trans people. I think some parents decide, oh, it would be so great if my kids were trans, and then they follow their kid around and hope, and then maybe egg them along to see if they could get that going. This entire thing creates nothing but problems. There's a perfectly sensible way, and like nobody's attacking trans kids on a massive scale, and the trans community is very tiny. Okay, it's very tiny. That doesn't mean they shouldn't get help, but it means that you shouldn't reorient your entire system based on the tiniest group of people. It's easier to just make special accommodations for them. So, in terms of showering and using the bathroom in a school, there's a simple workaround for that. You just make accommodations for the trans kids if they're truly trans. The problem is if you open this can of worms, you're opening yourself up to what's happening in the UK. And what's basically happening in the UK and the rest of Europe is the left is saying, well, you can be whatever you want, whenever you want. So there are people who can say, oh, well, today I'm feeling like a girl. Oh, no, today, and now it's the next day, I'm feeling like a boy. That'll just cause chaos in a public school. I mean, you literally have, well, no, I'm going to the girls' locker room today. Wait, why are you going in there? Oh, I feel like a girl today. Can you stop them? Well, I think if you open the door like Biden is preparing to do, the answer will be no for some schools. Now, some schools might add additional rules or might have additional facilities that it's not really an issue, right? So if you've got, I went to a really old junior high and senior high in terms of building. It was split, boys' locker room, girls' locker room with bathrooms connecting to each individual one. So, another school might have extra showers and extra extra private locker rooms that they could say, okay, this will be for the trans girls and this will be for the trans guys, and then you don't really have a problem, right? You've got bathrooms for them. They don't have to feel uncomfortable. Look, it could go both ways. You can have a trans girl go into the girls' locker room, make the girls feel uncomfortable, or she may feel incredibly uncomfortable in front of the girls. Either way, it could just cause a massive problem. Same thing in the reverse. I don't think if I had a daughter who then became a trans boy, I wouldn't want her showering with guys. No way. I'd be like, honey, these guys could pin you down and do stuff to you. Then what are you gonna do? And I just wouldn't want them looking at her or him as she identifies. So, you're just opening the door to massive amounts of problems. And I vaguely remember some news stories on this, how a couple of schools, I want to say in Detroit, had already started letting people, letting trans kids cross the lines, and it was causing nothing but problems. And it was all about the overreach of these administrators, like, oh, look how woke I am. Oh, you got all accepted. You got all accepted. People just aren't all accepting. They're just not. And it's not that necessarily that they're even transphobic. It's just that they don't want their kid showering with someone with, let's say, male genitalia or the opposite genitalia. They don't want to have to worry about their trans guy showering with a bunch of guys and being seen by the coach, who's also male, and vice versa. And look, I'm not saying these kids don't deserve the support. They do. But they're also going through an incredibly stressful time. Transition isn't anything to sneeze at. My friend went through it, and she went through a lot. Went through a whole lot. Went through hell to transition. And it's really an adult process. It's about, and look, I'm hearing all this secondhand, and this is my interpretation, so I don't have the intimate details, and you can blast me all you want in the comments or whatever, but it's an adult process. Kids aren't ready to do a lot of things. They're not ready to make that decision. Now they're 18, they can do whatever the hell they want. And now they're not in a publicly funded school, problem solved. But until they get out of school, they have to listen to the administrators and the pragmatic people around them. It shouldn't be the other way around. A kid shouldn't be able to dictate, hey, I feel like a girl today. Or I feel like a girl, now you have to set me up and let me be a girl. No. The kid doesn't get to set that agenda. Once you give the kids the power, they're going to totally abuse it. They'll completely abuse it. There will be guys and girls who will just say, nope, I'm going to tell the school I'm a trans girl, and they'll just do it for laughs. And the school will have to accommodate them. They'll have to. And if they change their mind, what are they going to say? Oh, I changed my mind. Or the school's going to have to waste more money. I shouldn't say waste money. Or they're going to have to hire more school counselors. Oh, we got to see if you're really a girl. Oh, I'm being oppressed. I mean, look, when I was in junior high, there was a kid, and he was just a maniac. He would have done it. He would have done it in a hot minute just to hang out with the girls. He would have done it in a second. He was a total psycho, He would make prank calls in the middle of the day in the school, on the school's phones. Like, he got into the principal's office, and the principal made the mistake of leaving him in the office. He started making prank calls. This was a kid in like 7th grade. And needless to say, he got kicked out of the school eventually, but he did not give an F. In a hot second, he would have lied and said, oh yeah, I'm a girl. And then he would have went right into the girls' locker room. And how are you going to stop him? How are you going to stop a kid like that? The answer is you won't. And he'll cause a lot of damage on the way. This is just opening the door to nonsense just so Joe Biden can look woke in front of his fan base. And there's going to be people who are just, it pits the parents against each other. If you have a trans kid, look, your kid, uh, you know, isn't going to have an easy time. Your kid is very different. That's the whole point, really. So they don't want to be different, but they have to acknowledge reality. Um, Look, when I was in school, I wasn't trans, but I did not want to shower in front of other guys. I just thought, no, I'm not getting naked in front of other people. I was way too shy for that. I would not do it. I'd just throw on my clothes and continue with my day. I didn't care how sweaty I was. And some of you were saying, oh, but I did it. I did it every day. I did not care. And if anybody asked, I was like, nah, I'll shower when I get home. I'm fine. I could be drenched in sweat. I'd say, no, I'm not showering. Nah, I don't need one. I did not care. There's no way I was getting naked in front of the idiots in my school. No way. Guys will, they'll mess with you. And I was not opening myself up for that. No effing way. I did not want to see and I didn't want to see other guys' wieners, quite frankly. But, I cannot imagine what it would be like for a trans girl to now, I have to be in the locker room with the guys. You really don't want to go there. You just do not. I mean, it will be bad. And what you're really asking is for, somebody to champion for you while you shower and make sure that, all the other guys don't treat you like a guy. Guys are brutal. They test each other's limits. Physically, mentally, that's what they do. And I don't think a lot of trans women really understand that transition. I think, there's a lot there to understand. And a kid's not going to get it right away. My friend took years to transition. Years. And it was a slow, arduous process that really the grown-ups have to go through. It's an intimate, grown-up process. It shouldn't be something on a whim. And kids make decisions on a whim. They do. And some parents get caught up in it. And I'm convinced that some parents just want to be, I have a trans kid. Look how wonderful I am. Some of it, I think, is, again, driven by women. It's being nurtured to death. It's enabling your kid to do whatever he or she wants when maybe it's not the best thing for them. You're the parent. Sometimes you got to set the boundaries. You got to say, well, listen, if you feel like you're different when you get out of school and you're older, you could explore that. Or you could explore that now, but, we don't want to, we'll give you a doctor's note. You don't have to take gym at all. There you go. Problem solved. Or you make special accommodations because, a trans kid is a special kid because there's not a lot of them. So I don't see any problem with saying, well, we'll make special accommodations for you. We'll get you access to a bathroom and a shower that you can use in private. So, or if you have enough trans kids, but trans kids are rare. I mean, they're rare. They're going to be exceedingly rare. So, if you got 20 trans kids in your school, they're not all trans. There's no way. There's no way that could be possible. I mean, unless you have a massive student body, maybe. You're talking about less than 1%, I believe, if the numbers are accurate. So, this is just wading into something, and I think Biden's just exploiting these people. He's exploiting a tiny marginalized group. Like, look how wonderful I am. I'm helping. And he's not. This isn't going to help anybody. This is, it's perfectly fine to pass laws and say, well, you gotta not discriminate against these kids, but to say, well, you have to now give them the same access to the same bathrooms. It's like, what are you saying about, are you agreeing with the people in Europe that you're a blank slate and you could be any gender you want at any time. You could be a dragon. You could be a you know, anything you want. Just make it up off the top of your head. It's going to cause you a lot of problems, and problems that schools aren't ready for. These people can barely educate people, and you're asking them to deal with sexuality. They barely can deal with sex education, much less sexuality. And you're going to have people disagreeing with you voraciously, very strongly. I just think it's a bad idea. Get the government out of schools, I say.